Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Time Bomb channel. Of course, myself, Bombardier, and thanks for checking this review out. Going to be looking at a watch that has been lent into the channel by Big Ron, and I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that this is one of his guilty pleasure watches, because when you see it, you might get my meaning a little bit. Here we have, in all of its monstrous size and shininess, the Invicta Grand Diver, and that's the reference 21865. And yes, it is the Batman. And straight out of the box, you can see there, it is an absolute shiny chunk monster. Let me just show you reference up here. And you can also see the other key aspect that's just plagues Invicta, the price tag 795. And we know for a fact that Ron didn't pay that, but there's your reference code up top. So just give you a quick overview of the watch, pop it off the cushion, and then I'll readjust the camera. All right, so yeah, as I was saying, so it's an absolute leviathan of a watch. I mean, I really do like big watches, but even out of the box and in hand, this almost feels it might be a little bit too big for me. So as I just showed you the price tag earlier, Ron paid around £100 from this from Joma Shop, of course, which many of you will know. And it's always a risk for us limeys as we can get really spanked on the import taxes, but he didn't mention that to me. So yeah, the size is all important on this. So let's just run through those key specs. So we're looking at 47 mils across, and that is without the crown. So you're going to want to add at least another 3 mils to that. It's then north to south. Again, you can see it's a real fingerprint magnet. North to south, it is 57 mils approx. Now I'm going to say approx because it's actually quite tough to get an exact measurement, because as you can see, those end links here really do protrude out quite significantly under those helmet logos. So yeah, as you can see just from the side, it's pretty wide, but then they are also solid and fixed, and so it does really drop down quite significantly. So it's going to again sit right aplomb on top of your wrist. It's then 16 millimeters thick, and then these lugs are a 22 mils also. And then Ron has a fairly big wrist. He's a 7.5-inch wrist, and this weighs in at, yes, drum roll, a very, very, very chunky 219 grams of solid steel. And yeah, I don't know how much of that weight is in the head, but there's a huge amount of it. So if you've got slim wrists, then this really is not going to work. But if you're a large lad, then this might be the ideal watch for you. Just to put it into a little bit of perspective, I mean, the heaviest watch that I own is the Helm Kuraburi, and that just comes in at on my 7.5-inch sized at 200 grams only. So yeah, you're adding another 20 grams onto this one. Yeah, quite a significant watch. It then, as you can see on the dial, comes in with 300 meters worth of watery goodness. It's not ISO compliant. Buzzing away inside, then of course we have the NH35A, being the true date version. A little difficult to get a good shot there. I'll pop you up a close up there, with the standard bright yellow custom Invicta rotor. It does also then say on the back, a little bit misleading to me, it says Japanese movement assembled in Malaysia. So what is it suggesting? The NH35s are assembled in Malaysia, and where's the rest of the watch assembled? I'm going to suggest that most of the parts and everything else, maybe even some of the assembly, might have taken place a little further north in Asia. But again, if you know better, do drop us a comment down below, please. And as of course you will have picked up as I've been moving it around here, God, it's such a fingerprint magnet. It really would benefit from some kind of coating on that steel. As you can see, then it has that much critiqued branding on the one side, and then also the Grand Diver on the other. And I have to say, I'm quite surprised that these engravings are not necessarily as smooth as I would have expected. You run your finger over those, and you can certainly feel them. Obviously, then you've got your dive helmet logo on either side of the end links. As I say, it's kind of an interesting logo. You will also then see it, on the signed screw down crown over here. The crown itself, very, very smooth, nice solid pop, moving everything around there with no issue at all. And it re-engages as well, very, very smoothly indeed. So yeah, positive in that sense. Nice and tight as well. Yeah, that's a nice action on the crown. So yes, lots and lots of branding on this, and I think that's again one of the things that puts many people off these particular style of Invictas. So if you are interested, then do bear in mind you are going to be a walking point of sale. Just something to consider. You then have like this semi scalloped bezel, and I have to say I really, really do like the color palette of the Batman colors here. They sit together very, very well, but not only that, they frame that blue dial really very well indeed. It's kind of nice to have that horizontal split in the colors here. It just provides a really nice contrast, I think. The font on the bezel is, well, yeah, it's probably copied, and I think most people are going to know where that's going to have come from. The sound on the bezel is, yeah, solid, fine. It's balanced, smooth, and it pretty much lines up, as you can see at the top there. But as you can also see, it twitches more than your average bird spotter. The blue dial is absolutely fantastic. It's magical shine and light color catching off that, call it sunburst, sun ray. It's brilliant. The color on there is absolutely fantastic. I wanted to get you some shots out in the sunshine today, but it's been overcast all day long. I haven't seen the sun, so I've not been able to do that to do it justice. But I think here in the evening light, you can really, really see how pretty it is. Bloody impressive on that. The hands on here work for me also. They're quite sharp, pointy. I'm wondering if they couldn't have actually made them just a fraction larger. And as well, the other thing that I like, just wait for it to come back around the other side, are the Invicta wings on the counterbalance of the second hand. Again, just a really nice, simple design touch. Nice that they thought of it. I think it just adds another interesting focal point. Loom here is pretty solid. It doesn't last hours and hours in that sense, but again it's pretty clear and positive and easy to see the timing. I hate cyclopses on watches, and this one's got quite a big one, and I don't know if it's my OCD, but it just looks a little bit misaligned, maybe just a little tilting to the right. And just the stainless steel rehort there, no markings on it or labelings on it at all. But I don't know if you can just see over at the 9 o'clock. I picked up a little bit of discoloration. There's a lot of light here, so I'll put up a close-up shot there. It's looked like, I don't know if it's a brushing issue or something like that, but as I say, just a little bit of discoloration on that inside. I mentioned before already, it's a fingerprint magnet, which is very frustrating, obviously, with that oyster style. Anytime you touch it, it's picking up something, and it's highly brushed on the side as well. So I'm conscious of the fact that while I've been moving it around today, getting to know it, I've been using a polishing cloth continually. I'm sure if they couldn't put something on this just to make it a little bit more resistant to touch, that would be brilliant. Speaking to Big Ron, when he had suggested sending this in, he showed me a couple of photos of it, and what drew me to it and why I agreed to seeing it is just that blue dial. And as I say, that the whole colorway of it, I think, works brilliantly. And I'd also reviewed the Pro Diver 1953 a few weeks back, and I can say that this one is kind of like the Pro Diver but on steroids. Ron himself is also not a fan of the engravings on the case flanks, but I think he admits that the additionality that is offered in the Grand Diver, with these brilliant colours, just some slightly differentiating details on this, and also the fact that it is that chunk of steel, he feels that it gives it a lot more personality over the Pro Divers. Curiously, as well, like many others, Ron confesses that he can't get this thing off wrist, and it's interesting because I've heard this from a lot of other people also. They buy these things and then they're just wearing them all the time. It's kind of a quirky thing or a guilty pleasure thing. It makes many of us succumb to these things. I think it's a little bit weird. It's kind of like, it doesn't work. You know that it's got some flaws in it, but you just can't get it off wrist. Additional feedback from Ron, as he has been wearing the watch, is that the back play in the bezel really does bother him. He also mentioned the GMT style digits without the GMT hour hand, and he also dislikes the date bubble, but I can fully empathise with that. It just looks so much better without it. But what works for him is the size, weight, and heft of the watch. As I say, so 7.5-inch wrist. He's got a big wrist, and I can easily relate to that because that's what appeals to me about the Kuraburi. It feels brilliant on wrist, and I just love the wrist presence. From the steel and the weight of it. Just feeling it in hand now, it's just so cool, that metal in hand. So I really get why he's enjoying wearing this. Ron also rates the logo on the dial, both the wings and the dive helmet. And it sounds like he's got some experience with San Martin, and I'm sure if you own one of their watches, you'll know what he's talking about. So, in conclusion, so let me just throw it on wrist as well. As I say, size for his, my wrist is a little smaller at 7.25. I can't close it up completely. Just to give you a shot there. As I say, it sits up very proud. It's too big for me. Yeah. I really do like big watches, but this one is it is too big. You just feel it, and you want to have that bracelet really quite tight as well, because otherwise you're going to get quite a significant amount of top wobble just from the weight of the the head. It's a huge and cheapish statement piece. That yes, it's flawed, but I think it's bags of fun to boot. Some people are going to call this a landfill watch, but there's no doubt it does. It seems to be a magnet for more punters than it is haters. So yeah, brilliant. If you're looking for a watch, perhaps that Johnny Depp is going to be wearing in the next Pirates of the Caribbean, then maybe this is the watch for you. Thanks again to Rob for lending me this. It's always great to see some different watches, even ones that maybe you're not going to buy for yourself. It's good to have another look at them, and it's certainly been fun looking at this one. Had it on the desk while I've been working today, and it's just been great looking at it. As I say, visually, I just think it, dial, bezel, colours, design-wise, it works very well. On wrist is another story. All right, guys, that's a wrap for today. Look forward to your comments and experiences with the brand down below. And of course, until next time, this is your host, the Bombardier, signing off. Cheers, guys.